Hello again, and it's week 3 of Art Joy Sharing Challenge for the month of October. And this week we're doing primitive painting and mark making, and it's in the style of primitive art.
African mud cloth.
Yeah, mud cloth.
Printing.
So,
it says primitive printing.
Primitive printing.
So ways to print that are primitive.
Okay, I read it wrong. I'm tired. It's been a long week already. So,
Yeah.
If you know who Rachel Juanita is, she has Soul Rain Art, and she has a lot of primitive papers on her website that are a free download. So she's got recommendations for using onion skin and rice paper and all of that. But this is what we're talking about. This is like her imagery that looks like mud cloth. So this is what we're shooting for. What we're going to be creating is something similar to this. And Shell's on a roll already, so I better get busy.
Well, I was just, while I was waiting for you to go pick something up, I was just messing around. But I think probably there's a few ways to do this. Step 1 is talking about, okay, of course, we've got colors again. These are going to be more very natural colors, because the real way to make mud cloth is to stain it with actual mud. That's how it's made, baked in the sun, stained with mud, and you can make all these different types of geometrical marks, which mean things, but I don't know what they are, so we're not going to talk about it. But I was thinking probably one way to do it would be to take a color, like I started with this brick color, which happens to be a Dina Wakley Sedona. It's pretty much exactly brick color. It's the color of the red rocks up in Sedona that I love so much. And then you could use any type of mark making tool, whether it's, I was going to grab something from out of here. You could use packaging that makes rectangle marks like that. You could use a soft tool and make your marks with it by just drawing in the paint before it dries. And remember, I have a very short, limited amount of time to do this, but that's a soft tool. It's like a silicone tipped tool. That one I actually could put the excess paint from this thing on it. You could, you could use that to accent where your rectangles are if you wanted to. They didn't come out very well because it was kind of whatever. But basically, it seems like the marks are made in lines, and there's, sometimes they're solid, sometimes they're more open pieces, but they're just geometric shapes. So we're going to make a few different pieces in a few different ways, but this was my first thought of what you could do. I come back with this again and make marks on the other side. So this is a bubble packaging, like it had probably buttons or something in it, and I pull it off and used it. Pill bottles are really great. Or not pill bottles, but the pill packaging, like when you get a package of cold stuff for taking care of your cold, and then the little leftovers of that make absolutely awesome little marks. But then you end up with something like this, and as I move it, you can see that the marks are there. And then you can just take some other paint once this is dry, and I'm just going to let it dry for a minute, and I'm going to move on to this other one, because the other way I thought about doing it was to make marks using acrylic markers, whatever kind of acrylic markers you have. I think this will absolutely work. And if you have some big fat ones like this, you could make big marks.
So I'm just, the first step just says use a layer of acrylic paint on your gel plate in a brick color. So I'm just, laying down some color to start with. That's the first step. Just get some color. And step 2 says create texture with a stencil or soft tool and pull print with a new layer of paint. So I'm going to set this aside because this is just my base. And I'm going to I'm going to use my journal page because it's an innie outie page. And I'm going to pick up some of that color that was left on the plate because this is just going to add to the layers of the background that I'm working with here. Nothing fancy. So I've got to start just by putting some color down on my page. Now I'm going to go back to my print here and I'm going to mix up some of that Sedona that Shell is using. And I want to add some other color to it just to dull it down a bit. So I want, let's see, I'm going to use some marine. And add some marine in here. And I'm going to go across. I've still got red on my brayer. But I want to mix in another color here. And I've got plenty of paint for both of these pieces here. So my texture I'm going to do with a stencil, just because I love stencils.
Stencils are awesome.
This one I love because it looks like mud cloth already. This is a Stencil Girl stencil from Natalie Callback. And I'm going to pick up a print out of there. What have I got here? Surely I've got some junk mail or something. Somebody's newsletter. Yeah, that'll work. Somebody's MailChimp newsletter. Like, I don't know why I printed that. Maybe I was on the go and wanted to read it. I don't know. So I'm pulling the color through the stencil. And
okay, so I've got two different ways that I laid design down. One of them is with markers, acrylic markers, Poscas. These are Bistro chalk markers. This one is a Postila marker. I use the fat ones. You can use the skinny ones. And that's what I did with this, is a brown. I used a brown medium-sized marker. And then this one I did with laying the paint down and then marking through it. And I'm going to lift that one up with, I think, a combination of colors. I've got off-white and I've got black, so that we can see what we end up with depending on what color to put over the top. So this is dried down a little bit and I'm putting a lifting layer on now, right? This is going to be my lifting layer. And this is something I do a lot. You can do it in multiple layers or you can do it like this, which is how I end up doing it probably 90% of the time. So then I'm going to put my flat side of my rice paper down and I'm going to let that It's actually 2 pieces there. I'm gonna get my Baron. See that even though I put paper up, that light's coming across. Do you see it? Okay. This is why I don't film in the afternoon. It's gonna be a problem. So then while that's melding together, I'm gonna go ahead and get a lifting one for this. And I think I'm gonna stick with some of these dirt colors. I mean, they're, you know, reds and these type of colors are really what are the what would be staining pigments if you just grabbed the dirt right off the ground and you made it and you painted your cloth with it. These are the type of colors you would get. So that's the reason that I picked the colors that I picked, because I'm weird like that. I live in the land of red dirt.
Red
You
dirt.
probably have brown dirt. I have red dirt.
We have black dirt. We have black earth.
So it seemed
We're
like
a
as
farm community.
as I was looking at pictures on the interwebs of mud cloth, they seem to all be in these very neutral tones. So,
But I think yours is not so red as, like in Georgia, the dirt is really red.
really
Yours
red,
is more
yeah.
of that Sedona clay.
So here's the one with the markers. And then here's the one with writing through the paint before letting it dry, and the differences that you get. And then this one was markers too. So I can see that I still have another layer on both of these. So I can come back in with a different color and pick it up. Maybe this one I'll use some of this. I'm not sure what I'm going to get off that, so I might just pick a really light color. Like maybe just off-white. And then I also had thrown in this shell off-white, like more of a pinkish, because I think even if you had red dirt and you stained your cloth with it, some of it's going to wash out and you're going to end up getting like a pinkish off-white color on there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the reason that I set the secondary colors with shell pink. Not shell as in me, but shell as in like a shell from the sea. Really, really off-white but pink color is what I was thinking. You know, because I did think about this. I'm not sure where the teal's coming from, other than I just like the teal. Because it's pretty with the other colors.
That's right. It does look pretty together. We've got a hair dryer down here. My stuff doesn't dry fast. Mine takes forever. So,
Hey, hair dryer set on cool will work great. So let's try some black paper. Why not?
here we go. There's my dryer. Because I don't want to put hot air on my gel plate.
No, just cool air.
So I have a cool, see, it's got a cool setting on my, whoops, get it over here. It's got a cool setting on my hair dryer.
I didn't really get the rest of that up. It's kind of crazy. It's not coming up. It wants to stay on the plate forever and ever and ever. There's some of it. The plate's just feeling a bit sticky. I don't know why.
All right. I think I'm going to pick this up with some text paper. I've got a book here.
Oops. The rice paper tour. But anyway, you guys are getting the idea. Obviously, we could also use stencils like we did with that Peg just did. She used stencils. Other mark making tools. Let's see what else you can find here. These are pretty fun though. I mean, you could spend your whole day just doing this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got so many different types of things. You know, I've got squares and circles and spool shapes. Ooh, that one would be a good one. How about a spool shape? That would make an interesting shape.
Pulling some of this
But I need some more paint.
paint back and moving it around because I got a lot on here. And I'm moving it over to my other plate that's got an image on it. So I'm just going to see if I can pull this first print. I want to give the paint time to soak in to the paper because I want to get all of those layers.
Oh, here's a stencil that I thought would be perfect for this. This one I think is an Andy Skinner.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. I recognize it. Deco art.
So that makes a great shape for this type of a project. Primitive printing. We can take that guy off. We can stick him over here. And it'll make him mark over there too. But I was thinking about this. So what if I used a dark color and I put it on this to use as like an ink pad. You can use this as an ink pad and then I can make marks on this side. There's so many mark making tool options. You could even take a potato and cut a shape out of a potato and use it as a mark making tool on your gel plate or just even on your paper. So many options. And just so long as you're using geometric shapes and, you know, making them go in rows down your paper, you are making something similar to mud cloth, right?
Right.
Something that looks like it. Super fun. I like schools.
Okay, so let me move some of this around, get it blended out. Plenty of paint on here, so I should have plenty of time to play.
Oh,
And let's see, what else have I got here? I've got some stamps.
gray.
Here's a stamp I like. Here we go. I've got this one that's got some circles. So I'm just going to press that in. And I've got this one that's got kind of an arrow pattern to it. So I will press that in. I'm going to actually stamp that paint off on another plate because I can use that as another background. So you can see what I got just stamping that extra paint over there. And then what do I want to do up there? I've got a bunch of smaller ones. Let me see what I've got here. This looks interesting. I don't know whose that is, but we'll use it. And this one, it's kind of a different kind of circle pattern. So let's do that too. And we'll have a repeat, but in a different way. Okay. So now I want that to dry down a bit.
It's driving me crazy.
This is still very wet. This one is drying. That one is still very wet. I'm not going to take all day because we need to move on. So I'm going to take my page. I'm going to pick up the, I'm going to pick up the top portion with my page. It's very wet.
There, that's better. A little bit.
And come over here and get this. So I've got some color and pattern just layered down on my page that we'll be building. And this stuff, as interesting as it is, I'm going to just set aside and let dry because we need to move on.
This is just more roll-off paper. Oh, shoot. I was trying to cover up my desk and my windows so that my desk doesn't get so bright.